Good morning, everyone. Welcome to FPC Radio Live. I hope you didn't think you were going to be without us on this fine Monday morning, the very last day in the month of February. March 1st tomorrow. Just an much better month in terms of sports than the month of February. Save for obviously the beginning of February, which felt like months ago, but the Super Bowl obviously still took place technically this month. But generally February is kind of when you're pretty much void of a lot of good entertainment, especially now that baseball is locked out. There's no spring training content to dive over. Basketball is, we're we're not quite to the point in the season where the playoff intensity has really taken over. Certainly not in Los Angeles. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Uh, Sorry, John. I told you I might not mention it today, but it took me all of about 30 seconds to mention that the Lakers stink. But we'll maybe get back to that. I'll save you a full 30-minute discussion on that today. I got some other things to talk about that I wanna divulge into. Of course. But the point is, like, look, there's not really much going on in the month of February after the Super Bowl, and even really leading up to the Super Bowl, because like those 2 weeks prior to it are really nothing. So you have the Super Bowl. This year you happen to have championship games late in January because of the additional game. So it dragged on a little bit more. It still felt like 6 months ago. Anyways, tomorrow begins the NFL Combine. The NFL league year starts on March the 16th at 4 p.m. So in just a couple weeks, everything's going to kind of really heat up. So this dead period is getting over, and hopefully, John, hopefully, there'll be a solution to this MLB lockout. Although I'm not that hopeful. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath. Hmm. Would you have even imagined 2 months ago that the Celtics would be where they're at right now? Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and and look, I mean, it's for someone who, I I try to watch as much basketball as I can. It doesn't, I mean, which essentially doesn't amount to much, especially after devoting so much time to football and everything like that. Every so often, you just need kind of a break, and hockey's next on my list when it comes to priority. So basketball takes a bit of a backseat, and that's kind of the one downside to living outside of the region now. I mean, everything else it comes up, Ian, when it comes to positives, because, well, guess what? It's 75 degrees right now. It's sunny, and I'm sure it's not that where you are right now. So, but no, one of the downsides is that, the ease, the convenience of just the games being on television. And I know, like, look, things are available to stream and all that, but no, it's sometimes it's just a hassle. You know what I mean? It's so much easier, and this is especially true for baseball. And this is why I've watched so little baseball over the last couple of years. Particularly the Red Sox. And it's not that I don't want to, but the process in which I have to go through to get the game on. And to your point about, well, at the end of the day, are you going to go through that effort to watch a sport that compared to the football and a sport I love, hockey, has relatively no action or very limited action. So I try to. Same goes with basketball. I try to watch as much as I can, but generally, the easiest time for me to watch is when it's on national television. It's just a simple clicking of a button on the cable box. But yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm looking. I was looking at the Western Conference yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, do we really need play-in games? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do we really need that? Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah, well, and but that's the thing, if, and it's a mighty big if too, because we've I think we've seen enough at this point to know that, and obviously this isn't new. People have been saying this for a while. Kyrie's not the easiest person to play with, and it's very clearly a Kyrie issue and not an everyone else's. Because at this point, when you go from place to place to place and these same issues pop up predictably, then it's time to look in the mirror if you're Kyrie. But he's not going to do it because it's Kyrie, and you know what I mean. That's just who he is. So that if is huge. That if is huge because think about it, John. Has he? I mean, the saving grace for that team is Kevin Durant. That's the only reason why I haven't laughed this team off to, oblivion, is because Kevin Durant still is on this team. And despite everything, he has the ability to absolutely carry a team, especially in the postseason. If it weren't for Kevin Durant, I don't care how much talent you had on this Brooklyn Nets team. I wouldn't think they were going to do anything. I mean, I still don't really think they're going to. Um, but I don't know. It's not going to be an ideal matchup though, like you said though, for anyone who has to play that team, because uh, all it takes, and it's possible, all it takes is for them to hold it together for a handful of games, and you're knocking off the 2 seed. Now, again, there's a difference between doing that for 3, 4, 5 games and doing it for 16 and a playoff, or whatever it is, the total wins for NBA championship. There's a difference. So do I think it's long term sustainable? Probably not. I don't think the Nets, again, assuming Durant doesn't go like quote unquote God mode. Um, I don't think it's sustainable. But are you going to tell me that for a 4 or 5 game stretch in the very first playoff series that they can't like upset the 2 seed? Absolutely, I can see him doing that. I just long term, I'm not too high on him. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and look, I mean, I from a fan standpoint, I could never root for Philadelphia. So you're on your own on that one, John. You can enjoy his personality all you want. I just want to see them flame out in the first round. Um, but yeah, look, I like playoff basketball. I'm excited to watch it. I think for the first time in a couple years, we're in a somewhat normal timeline in terms of like when these things are supposed to be happening, when the Super Bowl is supposed to take place, when hockey is supposed to start, when basketball is supposed to start and end, so on and so forth. I mean, again, save for the MLB, but that's their own issue. This isn't dealing with the pandemic like these other leagues have had to adapt to. So there is going to be some excitement to feel that breakup because we go back to that NBA, the NHL bubble, the NBA bubble, and it was just boom, 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 one after another, and it just felt like just so much personally because obviously that we work and try to cover a lot of this stuff, but just in terms of like there wasn't a break, there wasn't time to necessarily appreciate what was going on with everything going around, yada yada yada, all that stuff. But now we're kind of back to where it's supposed to be, like the NBA and NHL, or the NBA finals and the Stanley Cup final. They're going to be taking place in June and July, which is what it's supposed to be. Like that. That's a feeling that we haven't had. It's like, okay, I want to feel the NBA finals and the NHL and the Stanley Cup finals going concurrently, essentially, is what they generally do. Now, timing's off a little bit sometimes, but for the most part, they're running their championship series in the same time frame. Whether it's a week difference or just overlapping a little bit. So I'm gonna look forward to that, and then that brings us right into kind of you get the actual real summer. That's where you get Fourth of July and like cookouts, and summer's kind of like the peak, and then you get into training camp NFL. That's the timeline that I'm used to, and that's the one I'm excited for. That's why I am pretty happy that we've kind of had a little bit of a lull, John, the last couple of weeks. No football, no, obviously, no baseball. Hockey's been pretty good. Basketball is just getting back from their All Star break. We talked about the All Star game; it stunk. Personally, I hated it. So that wasn't really entertaining. But the good thing is, it's allowed me to watch some TV, John, and I got a so my Netflix recommendations have been very heavily on the foreign movie and TV market, which I'll be honest, I love because I've been opened up to so many different things that maybe normally I wouldn't have searched out, just because again it's tough to so some dubbed over stuff, it's hard to get into, and sometimes you have to, but lately I've been getting every sort of recommendation, especially from like South Korean television and now Japanese television, because I watch like Squid Game and all that stuff. I watched over the weekend a show that came out. It's apparently based on a graphic novel, sort of like kind of like The Walking Dead, but Alice in Borderland. It's on Netflix as well, and the concept being is these people are taking out and put into this alternate um Tokyo essentially, and they're forced to compete in very deadly games. And it was fascinating. It's fascinating. So that actually came out in 2020, which I didn't know. So I'm sure there's people out there saying, "Yeah, I watched that like a year ago." All right, like get with the program. Well, I just watched it yesterday or over the weekend, and I was really into it. And like, like I said, I'm really that's all my recommendations are now. It's like 50-60% of the stuff that pops up on my Netflix stuff isn't even, in English. Most of it's in a different language and dubbed over. But it's been great. It's been great to kind of be exposed to a whole different, not necessarily genre, but culture, because there are a lot of differences. There's a lot of things about it where it's like, obviously there's going to be differences in the translation. There's going to be some things that don't necessarily translate right, and you have to kind of not take everything so literally, to be like, wait, why that doesn't make much sense. And you kind of have to be like, all right, well, it's probably just a translation issue. But it's been phenomenal. So if anyone's interested, it's one season. Apparently, I have to wait until the end of this year to get a second season. So I was, FYI, you're left on a pretty big cliffhanger, and it was very sudden and unexpected, John, because I thought this was going to be another one-off series where you just watch it and that's it. It's just limited run, and it's over in 8 episodes, but you get satisfied. And this time, I was wanting a little bit more, John. I was kind of disappointed. I wish I would have waited until November, so I would have only had to wait a week. Hmm. Well, I do both. So I like I generally, like, to be honest with you, apparently we can't hear you on the the video broadcast. So we're gonna have to fix that later. That's fine. I mean, we're almost done. This is gonna be a short broadcast. We're still on the radio, so the podcast will still be able to still be able to listen. I honestly like subtitles in most things that I watch now. And I never generally used to, not that I disliked it, but I would what I would do is like, I like it because I tend to pick up on things that I may not miss, especially new stuff. So like, when you're watching something new that maybe you're not familiar with all the characters and all the just everything that's going around. Well, this gives you kind of an idea. It kind of gives you, okay, this is who the character is, this is what they're saying. So like I like both. Um there is something, again, uh because of the translation and the language gap, that is lost among, let's say, a Korean translation to an English translation. So like sometimes you lose some of that tone, because again, it's just people dubbing over in English what these actors said. So like, you watch one thing, and so sometimes, like, if I watch, if I watch it with the English, maybe I'll go back and watch it in its actual real language and just read the subtitles, because then again, I think you can capture some more of the context or tone of everything that's happening, just in general. Because again, like I said, English, or a foreign language to English isn't always exact, and you're just going to have to kind of accept that, and be flexible when it comes to trying to understand everything. Hmm. Oh. Yeah, well, hey, you gotta do something. And fortunately, Netflix is right, Johnny on the spot, to do that. So, all right, this is gonna be kind of a quick technical difficulties filled show because apparently no one's been able to hear you speak on the video side this entire time. But that's fine. That's okay, John. I'll just I'll do my best to communicate what you said to the audience very accurately, of course. Yes, yes. That there you go, and that's pretty dangerous, giving me free reign to put words in your mouth. So, um, so anyways, no, we will we'll wrap today up. We'll be back Wednesday. Like I said, we're also using this to this time to kind of give our voices a little bit of a break because we've been talking so much over the last 6, 7, 8, 9, 25 months, or so. So we'll again, like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday. By that point, the NFL Combine will be well in motion, and it'll be exactly 2 weeks to the start of the NFL season. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me if you're watching on video, and if you want to hear what John had to say, go ahead and download the podcast. It's FPC Radio Live. Check it out. Apple, Spotify, FPC app, all that stuff. It's there. Have a great day, folks.